Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers from everywhere in the world that you're watching today. My name is Nicholas Simon Christopher. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers. I am the community manager at the Football Business Academy, and I'll be the moderator for this, the FBA's latest live series, the FBA Tackles. First of all, to our loyal audience, glad that you have joined us again for these webinars, and to our new viewers, welcome. For those of you who haven't heard of the FBA before, we are a Swiss football educational institution entirely focused on the football industry. We run a professional master in football business, along with a number of tailor-made football business certificates around the world. Last year, we had a great success with our FBA Live series, where we were able to provide great conversations with football industry professionals who provided valuable insight to the football business. As a result, we are very proud to continue facilitating great conversations in this new three-part series. The three-part series titled the FBA Tackles. We will speak with faculty, FBA alumni, and candidates to share their different perspectives on a number of trending topics in the world of football. Today's topic focuses on the future of football stadiums. And don't worry, if you missed out on the live stream, you can always catch up and rewatch the session on YouTube. And if you prefer to listen to it on the go, the sessions will be available via Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Now, without further ado, let's meet our guests. So first up, we have Samin Macdonald. He's the faculty member and the professor of our stadium business operations. He's also the associate project director at Legends International. He also brings 20 years of industry experience to the FBA candidates as the new professor of the student business operations. He's worked on over 40 stadium projects worldwide, including Wembley, Nou Camp, Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, Santiago Bernabeu, as well as working alongside venue owners, clubs, governing bodies, agencies, and industry suppliers. He worked on the robust financial modeling of the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, as well as sales strategies at the Atletico Madrid Club, and worked on a number of projects with clubs such as Real Madrid, Manchester City, AC Milan, AS Roma. In the past, he oversaw retail strategies for the Rio 2016 Olympics and was responsible for the UEFA Euro 2008 hospitality sales and CRM program. He also spent 4 years at the IMG team, where he focused on the CRM and sales of Club Wembley at the Wembley Stadium. Welcome, Samin.
Thanks, Nicholas. Nice to be here.
Great. Next up, we have Ricardo Teixeira. Ricardo is currently working as Ticketing and Operations Senior Officer of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy at FIFA World Cup 2022. He works on the development and the management of the ticketing strategy for the FIFA World Cup, as well as the FIFA Club World Cup 2020. At the FBA, he completed his internship as project intern at ESSMA, the European Stadium and Safety Management Association. And prior to his studies, he worked as ticketing coordinator at Palmeiras in Brazil, venue ticketing manager at the Rio 2016 Olympics, as well as volunteer ticketing venue manager at the FIFA 2014 World Cup. Welcome to the show, Ricardo.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Hi, guys.
Next, we have Iurii Borovyi. He's a second edition alumni. Currently, he works as projects coordinator at Accred Ops. They handle the UEFA accreditations operations for the Champions League, the Europa League, the Under-21 competitions, the Super Cup, and Nations League competitions. During his time at the FBA, he worked as well as a project intern with ESSMA. He did some researching and benchmarking of different areas of the stadium operation and management processes. He also worked on ad hoc projects, presenting key takeaways and strategies for the improvement of ongoing stadium projects. How are you doing, Iurii? All good?
All good. Happy to be here.
Great.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Next up, and last but not least, we have Balakrishnan Ramasubramanian. He's a 5th edition candidate, who we normally know as Bala for short. He also completed an internship as ESSMA, but worked on the business unit as the business intelligence support internship. There he created a lot of insightful data to create a lot of reports for the ESSMA members. And this gave a lot of the members a lot of comparative benchmarks for the industry. The reports also provided stadium solutions on how to grow and attain the next level in operation excellence and development. How are you doing, Bala? I think your camera needs to be switched on.
Thanks, Nicholas.
There we are. He will also be joining us this summer to complete Module 4 at the Nova School of Business and Economics campus in Lisbon, Portugal. So I'm sure we're looking forward to that, aren't we? All right.
Yeah, definitely.
So like I said, welcome to you all. Thanks for taking the time to have this conversation with us. And let's just jump right in. Samin, I will start with you. So what I want to ask you about, or maybe you could share some experience on, is how has COVID-19 facilitated or accelerated the fan experience in football stadiums? And where do you see this technology going in terms of the progress in the football industry?
A nice, easy one to start with. Thanks for that. Yeah, obviously, the pandemic's been devastating for the industry. So many venues not being able to have any fans back, and I'm sure all of us are watching the Euro 2020 competition at the moment with glee. It's amazing to see people back, albeit in smaller capacities. And really, what I think COVID is doing is it's probably forcing venues to implement technology in order to make people feel safe, because I think people doing anything in the world now, where kind of some people are vaccinated, we're sort of all waiting to that point, but people want to feel safe. And I mean, how do you feel safe in a venue these days? What are the things? So I think it's things like minimizing touch points. So be that through contactless technology for ticketing, and I'd love to hear what Ricardo is doing as well in a little bit in that aspect. So access control and ticketing, even contactless solutions for buying your food and beverage. I know we've seen lots of our venues and colleagues of mine working with some of the interesting crowd modeling software to sort of figure out, okay, how do we get queuing systems working enough so that you can maintain social distancing? How do you get people into seating bowls and maintain social distancing? But like I said, I think these are, in some ways, it's a good thing for the industry because it's forcing them to use. I personally feel, and I don't know what the others think as well, I think within this football stadium industry, we are behind technology and we're kind of playing catch up. None of these things are new technologies. These are things that have existed for years. I mean, contactless and all of that stuff, this is not new stuff. But I think it can only be a good thing to implement some of these new technologies, and especially with ticketing. Ricardo, I'd love to hear what's happening in your world in that aspect with World Cups, etc.
Yeah, thanks, Sami. I agree everything with it that you said, that everything is being sped up due to the pandemic. And for the ticketing perspective, everybody is used to buy ticketing, to buy your tickets through digital platforms. So now it's we are using the digital platform to access the stadium, which is different from now on because you used to have a paper ticket, and now you have a QR code, you have barcodes through e-wallets on your phone. And during the last Club World Cup held here in Qatar, we first we combined a government app called ETRAS here that is used as a passport to go to the place here because it tracks your PCR test. So if it's green, you allow it to enter into the place. So before you get your ticket in the Club World Cup, you needed to be tested and show your address, and then you can collect it, and then you would collect your ticket and then access the venue. But as you can see in UEFA, in the last EuroLeague and Champions League, they are already using the mobile tickets for everything. So everything has been changing. And also, I think the most important thing right now, it's the social distancing within the sitting bowl, because it depends on the country that you are. It depends on the level of the pandemic. That in the Club World Cup we used 30% only the capacity. In Euros you have several capacities. Budapest 100, Poland it's another one, and so this is the behavior that will change from now on. I hope within a year or maybe less, we can use 100% in every place. But this behavior is changed, and it's a challenge from the ticketing companies to sell, because they need to develop new algorithms to separate the people inside the stadium, and also please groups, because you used to go to the stadium with groups. You don't go alone. It's rare. It's really rare. So it's a challenge for the companies to please not only the fans, but also the clubs, also the companies.
Well, Ricardo, I think that's super interesting, because I think it could tie into Iurii's experience, because he worked a little bit with the accreditation side for the recent Champions League finals and the Europa League finals. So Iurii, how was that sort of implementation of the technology in terms of like dealing with those COVID challenges, and how easily was it easy to use and beneficial to the fan experience? Because at the end of the day, with the stadium, like, it comes down to how best to deliver to the fans, right? So how did you see that happened in those big finals when people were now being allowed to get back into the stadiums?
Well, it was challenging, obviously, as everything affected by COVID, all measures and all protocols to be implemented. And it was interesting to hear Ricardo's opinion, because accreditation actually and ticketing, they go hand in hand together. And from accreditation point of view, safety is first also as well, and access control is also done electronically for the moment, starting I think since 2 years. UEFA implemented this, and all accreditations are equipped with the RFID chips, which are controlled by zones, and also you are not allowed to enter all zones because the stadium is separated according to their working function. So accreditation is also affected by the COVID, but what I would say that we experienced technological improvement in terms of online implementations and tools for COVID briefings. Different forms are already online. You don't have to sign any paperwork coming to the accreditation center. You just come, you use your smartphone, you spend 2 minutes, you get your accreditation. All is done according to the COVID measures, safe distance, etc. And then you go directly to the stadium. So it's a good thing to see. And I also agree to Samin completely that stadiums are really behind in technologies, and COVID is only pushing them to develop and implement. And I think we will see a lot of new tech things coming more in the upcoming months and tournaments.
Well, that's a really good way to kind of ask you, Samin, where do you think, what now as stadium construction workers, or like people who are planning to renovate stadia, what do we need to consider for the future in terms of like the fan experience, as well as plausible information technology to be used with these experiences? Is it a situation where the businesses are just focused on other stakeholders, or do they factor the fans in very much into these decisions? And like, where do you kind of see that sort of conversation going in terms of the owners of the clubs and these tournaments focusing on?
I think, well, I think there's a difference between the tournament side and the club side. I mean, the tournament side is, I think, absolutely geared towards creating the best fan experience for those one-off events. I mean, I do personally think that a lot of teams in the past have probably, let's say, it's not been the focus of their attentions in terms of sort of having stadiums which create amazing experiences for the fans. I just don't think that's been the case. I mean, if you're being quite cynical about it, football clubs generate their revenues to put it back into their playing squads to compete on the pitch, and the fans have sort of always just haven't been on the top of that pile of all important things. However, I think that's changing now, and I think it's changing just because consumer behavior is changing. And it's now at this point where the clubs are realizing that actually the fans are demanding better experiences. And if the experience isn't available for them that they want, they're not going to come. And I think that's quite clear that, attendances in certain leagues and older venues are down. And I don't know, it was interesting in the fallout I found of the whole ESL fiasco that the Manchester United ownership, when they released their statement, said that they're going to start engaging with fans and making improvements at Old Trafford, because they really haven't done anything there. I mean, that was one of the big things they did say in that. So it just shows you that they realize how important it is to make sure that the fans are getting a good experience. So I in the things that we're working on, I mean, that's absolutely at the forefront. I mean, people want to create venues which people want to come to and people want to spend longer at. And this is the key thing. I mean, ultimately, all clubs want to maximize their revenues, but you have to provide things that people want, whether that's people are now used to getting, it's not acceptable anymore to just have overpriced, poor quality food and beverage just because it's a stadium. People aren't going to tolerate that any longer because it's possible. And people are going to different venues, they're going to different countries, they're seeing what other venues have been doing and thinking, why isn't that happening here? And I think, I mean, I'd be interested because the guys have some tournament experience, but I often think it's quite interesting when a tournament comes into a city, a venue, and you often have to sort of give up your rights to the tournament owners, and they can often put on some especially in hospitality. I've seen it happen where the hospitality that happens at the venue during, let's say, a World Cup or what it might be, is of such a good quality that people who actually go to that venue normally for the regular club team are like, hang on a second, look at what it could be like, and then sort of so the expectation changes. So yeah, I think making sure that the clubs are providing the offering that people want and people are now expecting, because we've got, like I said, I think as consumers we're more discerning, we've got higher expectations, and if they're not met, we're not going to come. So I'm interested what the others think about that.
Well, before we dive into that, is there any interesting anecdotes, or well, not anecdotes, examples you could share about stuff that you're working on that could be interesting that we could probably see on a wider spectrum in some of the stadiums?
Just in terms of different experiences, I think, well, it's a bit of an overall one as well. Just what are people doing in terms of what are the new venues going to be looking like? So I mean, using them all year round, and again, it's not nothing new, but actually doing things outside of the match day. And one of the interesting things we've been slightly involved in is Fulham have been doing a beautiful renovation to their Riverside stand. Now, given the location on the banks of the Thames, it's really got the focus of a lot of the stuff in that stand is for non-match days. So it's sort of the other way around, really. They're sort of designing it more with a bit of the non-match day. There's a lot of passing, footfall, talking about things like members clubs, retail and proper retail, proper restaurants, not just sort of the sort of standard stadium, things like that. Lots of other. I think the key thing with any of these experiences, it really varies, like where you are, who your fans are, where geographically you're located. I mean, there isn't sort of just a cookie cutter. Here's the new stadium. Here's the new experience. And the same goes for the technology things we were talking about. Mm. And as these evolve, it's got to be relevant to the audience, to the fans, to the city. I mean, I recently, 3 years ago, moved over to Germany, just by means of example. And it's interesting here, when we're talking about technologies and stuff, how different it is with things like payment technologies and contactless. And contactless as a concept is only really now becoming more widespread in Germany, whereas when I lived in London, everything was contactless. I didn't need to carry a wallet, everything was on my phone. Whereas here, you still need to have, I had to sort of teach myself how to go to the bank again and carry cash. It was just going through this process. And so when the Allianz Arena sort of last year, looking at sort of saying, okay, we've now got Apple Pay within the stadium as contactless, but that happened 10 years ago in other places. So, for example, I mean, like in Germany, maybe a technological revolution will be completely different to something that would be in London and something that would be in a Brazilian stadium. So I think it's just all about people need to make sure they understand what it is that their fans want and deliver that.
Cool. Well, circling back to the comment about the hospitality side, Ricardo or Iurii, anything you guys have seen in terms of those sort of changes, the hospitality and the ticketing side kind of changing from tournament to tournament, especially when there's one point of view with the tournament as opposed to a club setup, you know?
Yes, there is a difference, as Samin mentioned. When a fan or but I think first of all you need to separate the hospitality public from the general public, because you have from hospitality public it's a more business driven, and it's more targeted to networking. So it's a little bit different. So during the World Cup or Olympic Games or even a UEFA final. Which is an event, a major event now with the unique final. We need to separate this kind of public. But during the major events, you have like the top service with containing the best catering, the best parking, the best guest services, everything. It's like the prices is like in a space. It's absurd, but you have demand, so you can offer this. So yeah. It's okay. But when you change for the day by day, as Samin also said, you have a no match days. You have a stadium for 360 days per year. So you will have and then we will host match only for 35 maximum tops during the year. So you have a lot of days to use the stadium, and this is the main difference when you need to design packages that can please the companies, the partners, the sponsors, and maybe I'm mistaken, but and Samin can correct me. But now the people are constructing stadiums, the VIP areas and the hospitality areas, not with only the skybox, but more dedicated to lounge, where people can share places, where people can use it during the no match days. They can use for conference, they can use for activations, for several tools or several features that they can offer to the clients, to the fans, because the sponsors use to activate the sponsorships, and there is an infinity of possibilities with the hospitality package. But that's the difference. For the events, you need to be focused during that the small range of days. Like there are venues we will only use 6 times during the event, but with a club, you have the full year to use it.
Well, as you touched on the like how they now as well, they're doing new constructions and facilitating those sort of new type of hospitality places and placements in clubs. Bala, I see that, I know you did a little bit of research with ESSMA in terms of like the new content and then what they're borrowing from new stadiums and stuff like that. Could you maybe speak on some of the research you did of where they have been, some of these new stadia and new clubs are like creating new ways for and borrowing these new ideas from different countries to implement into their stadium. For example, in the MLS, maybe there's a lot of European clubs that are borrowing ideas from the MLS and other parts of the world. Could you speak about some of the stuff that you did in your internship that spoke about that?
Yeah, sure. So as people here already mentioned about the importance of fan experience and hospitality in football stadiums. So when you talk about, as Samin already mentioned, football as technology, in football is actually lagging behind, especially in terms of technology. So like in Germany, you see contactless payment is something new for them. So when you think about when any club, especially in Europe, when they think about renovating their stadiums or planning to reconstruct their current stadium, so the main thing they focus is how can they get more revenue to their clubs, not only from their match day revenue, but also through other activities. So they, for example, in MLS, not only in MLS, so these days, the growth of social media is actually is there in almost every aspect of day-to-day life. So the importance of Wi-Fi is just beyond description during the football match for the experience. Like people, they tweet, they do Instagram posts, they do selfies, etc., to show off that they are actually in the stadium during the live game. So if you have a robust wireless and cellular network in the stadium that enables the fans to connect all the time. And if you talk about the hospitality, so the main one of the main features that makes MLS unique from any other European stadiums is they have an addition of side club suites. So they have a unique premium club spaces for the fans to enjoy not only on match days but also for during the non-match days. So the stadiums, they enable the fans to do a communal experience inside the club. They're designed to promote socializing before and after the game, and also during halftime. So these kind of things is actually very less in Europe. So those things, they definitely any club in Europe can look into MLS and develop it. The other factor that I think is main thing is the technology. So the technology, as you can see, it's not necessarily on the field, but it's actually off the field. So, for example, if you are in a football stadium, you want everything to be done so easily. So you want to order, for example, if you want to order food sitting in your seat, and you want to have a personalized team app in your smartphone that displays all the stats of your, for example, your favorite football club, and all these things you just need to have in your digital device. So in that sense, you can say in US that is they focus more on that more than the game itself. So in those things, when you want to upgrade use more technology into the game, then these things that definitely the clubs in Europe should actually focus on.
Okay.
And also, one more thing that I want to focus is, as Samin already told, as the example of the Fulham Football Club. So these days, the stadium designs, they're actually using a different model to make sure that it helps. It helps for the economic growth, and they have incorporate cultural values and urban development. Not only about the stadium, the match day experience as well. So they create a big space for the community to enjoy. That is one that becomes one of the primary agenda when they think of constructing a new stadium. So these are the things that mainly new stadium in Europe they actually focus on when they develop the stadium.
Samin, anything to add on what Bala just brought up?
Yeah, all really interesting points. And I mean, I'm really, as a big football fan as well, I love what is happening with the, as they say, soccer-specific MLS stadia that have been built over the last sort of 5-10 years and are under construction. It's quite interesting to see how, and I think this is something that you might see moving more into Europe, and to a certain extent it is with some of the new projects like Everton, and you could argue if you look inside the Tottenham Stadium, it's the same, but there's been a bit of a circular way how we've come from, I guess, the original English football stadium of years ago, which was 4 stands, standing terraces, sort of evolving more into kind of like the bowl with a continuous ring of seats. You often see now that from atmosphere and experience perspectives, you're going back into a more modern version of quite a traditional 4-sided stadium. now, with kind of distinct, like the sort of cop or the yellow wall style home tier to create that real wall of noise and an atmosphere, and just get there. So some of the things like the Bank of California, where LAFC play, the new Columbus Crew Stadium, it's going to get lower.com is the new naming rights partner there. They look amazing, they look incredible. And then they layer in all of the things that I guess American stadiums do from the big ones, which is, and this is something that, I mean, Bala mentioned around the different types of hospitality. This is where the big difference, I guess, still lies if you're comparing, I guess, Europe as a whole to the US. But certain European countries are ahead of others with that. And that's the differentiation of products, of ticketing products in the building. So your sort of traditional, I guess, model of a general admission seat and maybe a business seat and a corporate box. In America, firstly, you blend the offers more. There's not this kind of, it's general admission, it's VIP, it's a box. You might have, I don't know, at Bank of California, you've got sort of 12 to 15 different experiences that you could have, from a behind the goal kind of like ultra seat all the way through to insane rooftop LA kind of cabana style, beautiful lounges with sort of ponds and all sorts of amazing features and these great bars. But it's sort of 12 to 15 different types of products. It's creating things for all levels of the market and creating food and beverage for each of, and all of those experiences will more often than not have the ability to have a different type of food and beverage experience to go with it. And it's about creating experiences, creating the atmosphere, creating a reason for people, firstly for people to go first, and then for people to come earlier, to stay later. And I guess that's the challenge we have in the football industry. The game's never, well, I hope the game will never change in terms of the structure, sort of 2 periods of 45 minutes. And yeah, you don't have a lot of, I mean, halftime it's very difficult for any building in the world to do something that's going to serve all the fans in 15 minutes at halftime. I mean, it's just, you would need a lot of space and a huge amount of money. But I mean, what about beforehand and what about afterwards? And people are creating fan zones that could be open before the game that you can keep open after the game. It's a little bit that sort of tailgating model. So there's aspects of what the Americans do, I think, that we can certainly take, and the kind of these, and I think it's this sort of move to smaller. I mean, well, MLS has had to do it because playing football in the giant NFL stadia just isn't good for anybody. It doesn't look good on TV. It's not good for the fans. And these sort of smaller soccer-specific stadia in that kind of English style, I think is a cool thing that will catch on in terms of smaller venues, but smaller capacity venues. Because these venues aren't small, because in order to deliver all of those experiences, you need a lot of space. You need a lot of space for concourses. You need a lot of space for more toilets, more F&B provisions, restaurants, all of those non-match day things. So it's more like smaller capacities, diverse product offerings, better experiences for everybody, I think. And I'm seeing that. I mean, the plans for Everton's new stadium look fantastic. It's sort of, again, inside, it might not look from the outside. I know it does. From the outside, it's a bit more kind of four-sided. And even Tottenham's from the outside, okay, yeah, it's sort of an oval shape. But if you actually look at the seating bowl, especially the home end, they've got this amazing kind of huge one tier that sweeps down to create the atmosphere. So I think, yeah, a few of those MLS trends I'm seeing, and a few other interesting, I didn't mention it when you asked that question before, but not just on technology, but in what we might think with sort of devices and that type of thing, but acoustics and lighting and some of the things that are going in. I can't name the name of this one, but I've just been hearing from an architect about the materials they want to use on the roof, and how you can start now using amazing materials to help create atmosphere, to make sure that the sound comes down in the right way so that it's incredibly loud. But then at the away end, they're doing the opposite. So they're creating something which is going to mean that the away noise will get sort of dissipated and won't come back into the bowl. So also there's some, yeah, interesting things that people are doing in design.
Well, that's great, because as you bring that up, because it just leads me to think that in the future, if there's more of that smaller stadium constructions, it would leave a lot more options for tournaments to be able to be more creative in terms of their offerings as we move forward with the Euros, as well, Euros, World Cup, Champions League stages. And as you mentioned too, like having the different accreditation levels or ticketing levels, it does add a more diverse offering to from the tournament side. Iurii, do you have any sort of thoughts on that or anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. The future stadiums, and I think in Europe it will be trending, coming to the smaller capacity but more differentiate experiences in terms of fun engagement, also the ticketing and concourses, food and beverages. So the key question is how to find the balance to satisfy the ordinary fan who paid 20 euros for ticket, and also the one who paid for hospitality experience 2,000 or 20,000 per year. Well, and smaller, for me personally, I don't see any sense having 70,000 stadium and not being able to fill it in throughout the year. So this Camp Nou concept with 100,000 is going away, I think, and it's better to have less but proper used for multi-purposes. And now you have a lot of options how you can use the stadium. You can build the hotel. You can do even the supermarket that can be used throughout the year. You can do whatever you want. I mean, to differentiate this usage of the stadium during the year. And like I think also there is a good case, and maybe Ricardo can tell more about the stadium, which is built up from the containers in Qatar. And it's quite unique. Basically, you don't need 40,000 stadium after the tournament. Then you just dismantle it, and you can use it for sports, leisure, other purposes in another area. That's amazing. And I think this flexibility, this capability to adapt, especially in nowadays, that will be a future.
No, because I think it's super important, because at the end of the day we need to work on the sustainability aspect of not creating these massive stadia that are just parked up afterwards. They don't have any onward usage. So I think that, I don't know, Ricardo or Samin, if you guys could expand a little bit more on how that stadium actually works, or that sort of concept works, so that at least we could have a better idea of what goes into being able to break down a stadium and then maybe reuse it somewhere else, you know?
Yeah, it's an equation that every developer needs to do, because as Iurii well said, you don't need 8,000 seats capacity stadium anymore. It's like something that used to be for governments to do propaganda in the past, for like bread in circles, and now they need to have this financial sustainability to offer something that can be profitable in the future. And the example from the US, it's great, because they have this capacity of they are really capable on doing the things on multiple purposes. And just to take 2 points that Samin said, and Iurii as well, about the fan zones, it's really, they are really important for the operations as itself, because you can gather people before, like 2 hours, 3 hours before the match. If you bring this to Europe, or even South America. In South America, we have this kind of the street. In England, I lived there a couple of months, but I was able to see how the people gather. I wasn't in the Tottenham New Stadium during the Boxing Day, and it's like in Brazil, for example, you have this street when you have like people gathering before and then entering in the stadium, but entering like 15 minutes prior to the match. So this is in a calm game, it's okay. But in a final, in a semi-final, or a huge match, you can have problems with the access. And if you don't have a proper technology, if you have an outrage at gates, it can be very, very, very dangerous for the crowd management. So this concept of fan zones, of what we can offer to the fans before the match, is really important. And also combining this equation of the sustainability, this range of package of products that you can offer. If you listen to your fan before you construct your stadium, and you can compile your data from your fans, you get not the best scenario, but as close as possible to the best scenario. And the stadium needs to be treated as an airplane, and you have, like, for the first class until the economic E, D, C, I don't know, Z. If you fly with Qatar Airways, you have the best first class of the world, and then you have the economic Z. That one that I prefer to go because I can lay down and I'm close to the kitchen. But yes, you have the stadium, and you need to have the proper products to the right demand. So before you develop the stadium, listen to your community, because there is a lot of stakeholders over there. It's a good exercise to do it.
Well, touching on that, Samin, could you add, or from what you've seen, your experience, do you think that the management of the clubs and all the stakeholders, they're doing a really good job at that, or do you think that there's some room to improve on that front in terms of taking into the fan as well as the fans' experience, or do you think they have a lot of room to kind of bridge that gap?
I think we've all got room to improve in everything we do, but I really do echo sort of the things that Ricardo was mentioning around listening to fans, not only with the experiences that we've been talking about, and like I said, every country is different. Even the different cities within countries have different needs, desires. Fans will want different things, and so there's no point sort of building something just because the technology is available. For example, it's got to be relevant. I mentioned that before, and I mention it to everyone all the time. It's got to be relevant for your area. And in terms of the capacities things that we were talking about, I mean, we at Legends, we do a huge amount of market research and feasibility for the teams to make sure that you are building at the right capacity, and that you're creating those right products. And now, in terms of stakeholders, yeah, I think it's just people are starting to plan a lot better because they're seeing, and it's more reacting, I think, to success of some teams who have done great jobs. I think Tottenham have built an incredible building that a lot of people are incredibly jealous of. I think it's probably the best venue in Europe, if not the world, for football. But Tottenham did, because I was part of some of it. Maybe not to the extent you gave me in your very kind introduction, but I mean, I know they did sort of 3 sets of different research purely on kind of pricing around the offerings and things like that as well. And that's just one part. And the planning that they did, I think the reason it's so good is because, for example, the technology that they have there is phenomenal, but it's because it was well planned and it was well thought out. It wasn't just done, okay, well, it's going to cost us X. How do we make X back as quickly as possible? It was more thought of the strategy long term, is that the more infrastructure we build, the more data points from our fans we can capture, the more we can provide great experiences to them. I mean, they've put all of the aspects of a match day experience onto an app on your phone. The ticketing's there, the ability to order food is there, the beacon technology that tells you where the shortest queue is, that can push out food and beverage to you. You can buy retail anywhere at sort of any time. I mean, it's all there in one thing, but that took a huge amount of very good strategic thinking, a lot of planning, everyone on the same page. What's the long-term goal? The long-term goal is, now, I mean, I don't know directly, but from the outside, I mean, it looks like they were like, we are going to give our fans the best experience. And then in turn, the fans will hope will come earlier, stay longer, spend more money, and they'll get their return on their investment. But it doesn't seem like, from my perspective, that it's sort of this, what you often find people thinking, okay, well, if technology or implementing Wi-Fi is going to cost me X, how do I make X back very quickly? And I think when people think short-term ROI, and that is where you get into trouble, and it never happens. I mean, we're all in the industry. I mean, every conference for the last 10 years has been talking about Wi-Fi still. And like we've said at the beginning of this, none of this stuff is new technology. It's stuff that we're all used to in our lives. It's just, how do you go about implementing it in the stadium well? And it all comes down to planning, research, knowing your fans. That's where people get it right. But like I said, it's very different in very countries. And you mentioned stakeholders. There are many countries where the clubs don't own the venues themselves. They're owned by the cities, and that creates a whole new level of complication, mainly, and complexity. You not only have to take into account what you as a team want, but you realize you're not the owner of the building. You probably have a lease, you pay some rent, you can get some stuff in what you want, but there are going to be demands that municipalities put on the buildings that they want that might not necessarily be sort of a perfect match for a football stadium. So it's, yeah, I just think every project's unique. Every country and city has its own, and fan base has their own desires and needs and challenges. And I think, yeah, it's just, you need to make sure that all of that is taken into account.
Well, I think that that's a pretty good insight, because at the end of the day, as football fans and as well as people within the industry, you obviously want to continue improving and just seeing things get better and the overall experience get better, and not to also get too far away from what's important on the pitch and the football and just making it accessible to all. But you also obviously need to balance the financial drivers and then, meet the demand that's there. But I think that that's a good part where we could kind of start wrapping up the conversation. But before we go, I want to ask each and every one of you, just what would you like to see in a football stadium, or for the future or now, or something from your own pathways, what you think or do would be a really good addition to the offering out there. Bala, I think I'll start with you, and then we could go, and then, yeah. It could be something super cool or just something super mundane that, they should be included on a regular basis across the board, or in a specific case as well.
As for, in my experience, I always find it difficult. For example, when I used to go to some football games in stadium. So parking is one of a big issue before going entering into a stadium. So if the club can have some kind of app generated for the people who have the tickets for the game, so which might tell them that which area to go, which area is available for parking. So those kind of things, if as a fan, if that is something that I would like to be, I would like to have it in my handy, so that it doesn't, it removes a lot of, it saves a lot of time, and also saves a lot of headache. So that's one thing that I would like to see in the stadium.
Awesome. And Iurii, what about you?
Well, every fan is coming to the stadium to get the best experience, and you are going to see the game and to be entertained. For me personally, I want to see more entertainment, especially in Europe, and it's in terms of everything. And like we talked before, you are able to come 2 hours before the game, you enjoy the game with all boiling emotions, and then you stay maybe 1 hour after the game, and it's a unique experience, engagement to the fullest, and yeah, you come back home happy. And especially if the experience is targeted not only to adults but also to males, females, to kids, to families, that also would be great. And I want to see, especially, for instance, I live in Ukraine, I want to see that in Ukraine, because Ukraine as a country of post-Soviet history is struggling with this, and it doesn't lack emotions in the stadium, but it lacks some really experience and entertainment.
And yourself, Ricardo?
Yeah, sometimes it's really hard to dissociate the operations from my former world as a fan, but yes, there is always a fan inside of me, and I think the perfect stadium would be a merge between the US world and the spirit of football that we have in South America and some countries in Europe. I mean, the majority of the countries of Europe. As Iurii has said, the part of the entertainment, I think it's a piece that is missing in South America, in Europe as a whole. Only a few stadiums have it. And also in terms of city ball, because it's my thing, I think the German stadiums, they have this standing they call the Stadtplatz, keeping the spirit of football, offering arranged since the bottom and to the top, and combining with the range of package that Samin said from the US, when you have 18, 20 products. And this kind of entertainment, because it's a problem in every state. I think Tottenham tackled this, which was the pitch problem, and I think that was the most challenging thing to transform the stadiums dedicated to football in entertainment sites, because of the damage of the pitch and all these fights between competitions and ceremonies and every functional areas, yes, that we have day by day. But yes, overall, I think the perfect stadium for me would be the combination between the entertainment world from the US and keeping the football of the spirit of football.
No, I like that. I like that you brought in the South American roots as well, that spirit and passion. I appreciate that. And yourself, Samin, to wrap up?
Oh God, I could spend another 2 hours talking about this.
Maybe we'll do that in the future, I think.
I'd like to see the food and beverage side of venues get a lot better across the board, really providing amazing food experiences. I know we go back to the US, but there are some great venues there which are doing real promoting local food culture, making it sort of part of that experience, but also tying it into the fans. But I mean, to go back to Ricardo was mentioning about being a fan, I mean, I'll never forget the first time I went to, it was a QPR game. My dad took me, but when you come out of the vomitory and you sort of see the pitch and things like that, and the whole pre-game build-up, and what I really love now, and I've been lucky to go to a lot of places, so but it never gets old. But what I find makes my matchday experience better is how good some of the kind of the video boards, the lighting systems, the speaker systems, when you sort of come in and you just feel that amazing atmosphere and the light shows that can be done with some of this amazing new technology, and even like the LED and how buildings, especially at night, I think going to a game and in some of the new stadium now where they're lit up and they've got these amazing systems, it just, that, you know, that sort of 5-10 minutes before kickoff where you're just in your seat and you can feel everything builds up. I think some of those new technologies really add to creating that amazing excitement, which sort of gets to that crescendo of the kickoff happening. So, yeah, I'd like to see some cool advancements in that kind of technology.
Awesome. You just hit the nail on the head. I think having to generate that sort of experience, I think that's the pinnacle of the end result for most football fans, to be able to have that enjoyment.
But also, I mean, what do we want to see? I think we just want to see places full again. I mean, I don't know about you, but I watch the Euros at the moment, and just, we were talking about social distancing. It's like, but when goals are scored, the social distancing seems to go out of the window. But it's so nice to see them a bit fuller, and we can't. And I mean, we're all I think everyone knows that demand is there. Like, people are itching to get back when it's going to be safe, and I think it would just be an incredible opportunity for clubs now. You're going to have fans who are just so keen to go to. Bala, you mentioned it before. It's that social experiences that we've all been missing for so long, and nothing brings us together like football and our team and being able to watch the game. So very excited for the day when we can have properly full and loud venues.
For sure. And just one more thing. I was hoping that you guys would give me a little bit of a small soundbite for the FBA about your experience with the FBA Academy and the Football Business Academy, and either as a student or as a professor in this case. Small soundbite. What are your thoughts on us as the FBA and one of the educational providers for the football industry? Ricardo, maybe I'll start off with you.
Yes, I think I was part of the group that was graduated before the world comes to what we see right now. But I think the things still the same. I mean, the aspirations. I mean, because during my time at the FBA, I was very lucky to have such a great range of professors of networking, because I think this is the most important thing that you have from the FBA, is the network that you can build, because the knowledge, it's already a class thing, because you have all the professors that had this kind of experiences from several places, from clubs, federations, football entities, from several backgrounds. And I think I will reinforce this. I will always, when I'm talking to people that are interested, that reach me through, I don't know, LinkedIn or whenever, I'm always saying, try to build this network, try to enhance this networking, because once you have it, you can meet people from every background in football, because it's such huge industry, and it's the part I think the FBA is playing in this area. It's really good, because it's a new way to present the classes, is a new way to form people, to form professionals.
Awesome. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. And you, Bala?
Yeah, I would, again, I mean, like Ricardo said, networking is, that is something that I would say FBA has given me a huge help. I mean, so that is the main thing that I would say. I mean, 80 to 90% that is, if you want to enter into the industry, football industry especially, so the main thing you need is a network. So FBA has provided me that. That's definitely the main thing. And the proper, then they have, I mean, FBA have a lot of good professors, so it made me understand about the football business knowledge, and along with the internship at ESSMA, so that professional experience is also a part of it. So I blend of all these things, and along with the passion for the sport, for football, so it makes people like me make me ready to enter into the industry. So that is something that I'm really thankful for the FBA.
Awesome. Iurii, over to you.
Yeah, I would add on what Bala and Ricardo said, that FBA is about people, and FBA has great people who created this program, great professors, great students, great alumni, and that's the thing. That's the combination. That's amazing and awesome. I found friends at the FBA, and I'm happy. And all those people that I'm talking about, they create a great experience. This is what it's all about. So
awesome.
keep it up, and you're doing a great job, guys.
Awesome. And Samin, lastly to you, because you're also a new professor with us, right, this year?
Yeah, well, very new. I mean, only in the starting stages of the journey. But yeah, it was a real career highlight, and it was an honor to have been asked. And yeah, I love the football industry. I love stadiums. And yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and it's great to be able to sort of share some of my learnings with the group doing the stadium business operations course. And yeah, in the short time that I've been with my first group, I mean, it's great just to see the people who are incredibly engaged. There's some great questions coming out of it, and I'm really excited about the rest of this. I think we've got another 9 weeks of the module for this first group. So yeah, it's been great so far, and dealing with yourself, Nicholas, and your colleagues as well, and sort of preparing for everything's been great. So no, all positive so far, and it's these types of sessions I think are very helpful, not only to sort of share experiences from professors' point of view, but to see how the guys have sort of come through the system, sort of they've done the networking, see the positions that they've achieved and the amazing things that they're doing with their careers as well and experiences. Because yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity, it's a brilliant industry, especially when you're a football fan. So it's it's lovely to see, and I hope that it's been a useful session for everyone today.
Yeah, I think it'll turn out that it was. And with that, I think we're going to call it the end.
Nicholas, can I just add one more thing
Sure.
from FBA? I think one important thing is that you learn from real cases, real life. It's not only theoretical. I can mention, for example, Alfonso as a professor. When you have this class, like in the last module, it's like things that I've seen like many times during meetings and everything, and people there like seeing for the first time, like, guys, you are being prepared to the real world.
Awesome. That's super relevant, because tying in those real world experiences, it really does give you a little bit more preparation for when you're really on the job, you know? Well, guys, all I could say is thank you so much for the participation and for sharing your experiences, your time, and your insights as well. I think it's been a really great conversation, and it was really interesting perspectives on all of the topics. I want to say thanks to our audience for taking the time out to listen or watch this conversation. I hope that you all took some interesting points away with it as well. Don't forget to look out for topic 2 next week, women's football challenges and opportunities. We'll be announcing the guest next week, so keep an eye out on our social media channels so you don't miss it. It'll be the same time, Thursday, 24th of June, 5 p.m. CES time, here on LinkedIn and YouTube Live. Don't forget to follow our LinkedIn pages, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media. But from my side, guys, thank you so much. The Football Business Academy does appreciate the time taken, and I hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Nicholas. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.